Hi everybody, welcome to day 2 of our Jump into Wellness. Today we are going to talk about mindful eating. So yesterday we talked about our physical joyful movement, moving our bodies, and today we're going to talk about what we put into our bodies and how we put things into our bodies and how we can really be in tune with our bodies. I just want to see if anyone's there. I know yesterday I said give me some stars. There's no stars, but give me some likes or some hearts if you're there. Looks like one person has come on. Say hello. Just getting set up now. So I just wanted to kind of do if you missed yesterday, we sent out an email with information on the 12 tips to enjoy exercise more. So I feel like a big part of my business is helping you get over the mental blocks that keep you from taking care of yourself. So we learned about enjoying exercise, finding what the benefits of exercise are. And if anybody had a chance yesterday to kind of experiment with something new, maybe you tried to do something different, like play a different sport or something, just give me a comment on that you were able to try something different and find something that's joyful for you to do to move your body. I think that's really exciting and really fun. So that was yesterday, and if you didn't get that email, please let me know and we will send that over to you. So today I'm really excited. We are going to talk about eating. We're going to talk about our food. Hopefully you guys all had a chance to have some breakfast this morning, the most important meal of the day, right? Today we're going to talk about how we can have a better relationship with our food, how we can really enjoy our food and have food be pleasurable. For a lot of us, there's a lot of guilt around food. There's a lot of shoulds and should nots. I shouldn't eat this food. I should eat this food. So we want to be able to get into a good place mentally with our food that we can love our food, enjoy our food, really savor it. And today we're going to learn a lot about that through mindful eating. So does that sound good? Give me some a like or a heart if that sounds great to you. We're going to get started on that. So yesterday I had you guys kind of, look at what you saw maybe as things that you would like to do to move your body. Moving our bodies and eating are essential to our wellness. So today we're going to talk about eating and the benefits of mindful eating. So if you're there, give me a thumbs up and let me know that you're there, the like there. Oh, okay, we got someone said, yesterday I went for a run for the first time without thinking or caring about my body image. It was so fun. Oh, and he said the link didn't work for him. We'll get that to you. So that's exciting, Zachary. Awesome that you went out and just enjoyed it without thinking about I'm exercising for body image, just enjoying it and having fun. I love that. That's terrific. So thanks for sharing. Anybody else have something to share from what they learned yesterday? If you do, or if you have a heart or a like, tell me. So we want to have our thoughts about caring for ourselves be fun and joyful. That's why I like this jump into wellness, because it's going to be something exciting and fun for us. So we want to make food our friend. We want to enjoy eating. So today we're going to talk about what we do with eating most of the time and how we can eat more mindfully. So you guys have probably all, and I know I've experienced this before too, that you sometimes will we either deprive ourselves of food or we may overeat, and sometimes we're not paying attention to what we're eating. Have you guys ever done this where you're sitting in front of the TV and you don't even realize how much you ate? You just kind of kept going and going. Or you're in your car and you're eating and you're just kind of distracted. So a lot of times we're not really paying attention to what we're doing as we're eating. And that can lead to not really enjoying what we're doing. We want to enjoy the food. We want to enjoy the experience of eating. So there's a lot of different emotions and feelings behind food. And if you have a comment about something that you've struggled with food, please let me know, and please put that in the comment section. So I want to talk first about how we view our foods. So we know that there's proteins and fats and carbs, and we've all heard about all the diets. I actually don't believe in diets at all. What I believe in is learning how to listen to your body and what your body tells you it needs. So our body will naturally tell us what it needs. And generally we do need to eat things that are alive foods. So when you think about fruits and vegetables, they're things that come out of the ground, they're alive. And in order for us to feel alive, to have more energy, we need to eat foods that are alive. So I don't really believe in diets, but I do believe in really tuning into your body and having it tell you what you're needing, what you're feeling. Okay, so, and there's a lot of different types of hunger. We're going to discuss some different types of hunger today. We're also going to talk about good versus bad foods that we've kind of told ourselves are good versus bad, and we're going to talk about the definition of mindfulness. So first of all, I just want to start off with that everybody's experience with their food, with eating, with their health is their own experience. And the great thing that I love about mindfulness is we're paying attention to our current experience without judgment. And that is hard to do, to pay attention to the experience of eating without judging it. So when we think about mindfulness, we're talking about deliberately paying attention, being fully aware of what's happening inside of us. What emotions am I having? What thoughts am I having? Also what's happening outside of us, in our body, heart, mind, in our environment. It's being aware without criticism. And I found in working with my clients that this can be sometimes this can be a really difficult thing, is to be able to be mindful and really tune into what our body's experiencing without saying, well, I shouldn't be doing that or I should be doing that. You know, I talk to my clients about trying not to should on ourselves about things, you know, that it's okay to just recognize what our habits are, what our mental habits are, what our eating habits are, and kind of tune into just noticing things. So that's really what mindfulness is all about, is paying attention and being aware of your feelings and that. So when we think about mindful eating, it's not a diet, it's a way of being. Okay, so when you're eating mindfully, you're really paying attention to your food. You're really paying attention to the experience of eating. The experience of eating, drinking, the experience that's happening inside your body. What does it feel like when I chew? What does it feel like when I swallow? How does it smell? What does it look like? It's really tuning into the whole experience of eating. And I think, I don't know if any of you have been to Europe, and they have those, and there's hours that you sit and you eat a meal and you have several courses that you go through. I think of that as like really mindful eating, where you're having the experience with the food and you're really enjoying it. You're paying attention to the colors of the food, right? Have you ever done that where you're like, oh, I just love making this certain meal because it's got these different colors in it, different textures, flavors, the temperature of the food, even what it sounds like if it's crunchy food or soft or whatever. We're paying attention to that whole experience with our body of mindfulness. How many of you have experienced or gone through a mindful eating course before? Has anyone? Raise your hand if you've done that. Or if you've been to my Mindfulness in the Mountains event, or if you've done any of my workshops, my yoga workshops. Sometimes we'll do a little bit of mindful eating. We've done the raisin, the little raisin. And the cool thing about the raisin is it has so many different aspects to it. It's got the texture, it's got the taste, it's got the, the little ridges in it. And so you can really experience the food through looking at the raisin, right? Like as if you've never seen it before, really, really tuning into that. So, so mindful eating is all about being present in your experience with your food. So we're gonna go into that a little bit more today. So we're tuning into our experience of our body, and we are trying not to judge our body or our reasons for doing things. We're just noticing what we do. And we all have mental habits, right? And we also all have eating habits, eating in front of the TV, or just different ways that we've gotten used to eating, right? If it's on the run or things like that. So we have different ways that we've kind of have become habits to us. So mindfulness is kind of slowing down and recognizing the experience of eating. We're going to look today at 7 different types of hunger that we can be experiencing, and how food actually can help us with some of those, but there's some that we, like emotional hunger. We sometimes use food in that way, but we could look at other things as well. So I want to talk about the difference between mindfulness and mindlessness, right? So mindfulness is a big word right now, and really all that mindfulness means is I'm actually present in my experience. I'm actually noticing what's happening. I can feel the sensations around me. I can be in this experience. So when we look at mindful versus mindless eating, we're distracted, maybe in front of the TV or in our car. We're unaware of what we're doing. I think of it as that autopilot thing. You get in your car and you don't remember how you got there to the place that you went, and it's triggered by something other than physical hunger. So this is a very common thing, that people are triggered by something other than physical hunger. And for a lot of us, stress and anxiety can trigger eating. Also, sometimes we talk about comfort foods or depression, and we want some comfort or some support from the food, because it does give us, eating does give us a pleasure, right? It's the dopamine, that sense of well-being. So sometimes that's how we're using our food, and that's more of a mindless way of using it. For anxiety or fear, and sometimes we're eating just out of it's habitual rather than like really experiencing it. Sometimes we eat because we're bored. Anybody ever done that? I know I have. I'm bored. Let's see what's in the fridge and try it out. Sometimes we're triggered by guilt or shame. There's a lot of connections to shame with food, and that's one thing I wanted to talk about today, is that we want to be kind to ourselves and show compassion, that eating a brownie is not shameful, right? And that you can enjoy a lot of different types of food, so without being critical of yourself. So that's mindless eating. And then the mindful part is we're actually present in the moment. We're there. We know what's happening around us. We're aware of our environment. Where are you eating? Is it in your kitchen? Are you at a restaurant? You're aware of what's going on in your environment, and you're also really tuning into sensations, like, what am I feeling as I eat this food? What do I feel as I pick it up? What does it feel like? What's the texture like? What does it smell like? What are my thoughts about this food? If I pick up this brownie, do I have the thought of, oh no, I didn't eat enough good food, I can't have this junk food, or whatever our thoughts are about it. And when you're mindful eating, you're not judging or comparing. You're trying not to. And it's human nature to judge. That's what our mind does, but we're looking at trying to not judge or compare. We're trying to be really kind to ourselves and just curious, like, I just noticed I did this. I just wonder about that. I'm just curious about that. So you're paying attention to the internal and external cues for eating. So what would be some cues that you would know that your body needs food? How would you know that it actually physically needs food? What do you guys think? I know for me, I get like headaches, I get really fatigued, my stomach growls. That's usually a pretty sure sign when your stomach's like, rawr. But a lot of times for me, I'm really fatigued. I might get more irritable and agitated. They talk about being hangry. So just noticing, what is your body when it tells you. Also, when you're thirsty, sometimes we think we're hungry, but we're really thirsty. And when we're thirsty, a lot of times we might have a dry mouth. Carrie said she might be cranky if she hasn't eaten in a while. Yeah, I experienced that too. So, and when we haven't drank in a while, we might feel really exhausted. We might have a dry mouth. We might just kind of feel depleted of energy. So I want to think about food in a way that it nurtures us, that it takes care of us, that we're nurturing ourselves through making sure that we're giving our body what it needs. When you think about a baby, when it's just small, and when it will cry if it needs food, the baby will show us that it needs something, and the mother or the father will nurture it and give it what it needs. We learn how to just eat intuitively. When we're a child, we just know how much to eat, and we stop eating when we're full. And the thing about as we get older is there's so many distractions and things around us that we kind of lose that intuitive, like, my body is telling me what it needs and when to stop. So another thing that I love is the intuitive eating, and that goes right along with mindful eating, which is you're paying attention to your hunger and fullness cues, right? So there's a scale that's like 0 to 10. 10 is I'm super stuffed, like Thanksgiving dinner, and 0 is like I could eat a horse, I'm not hungry, you know? And then there's in the middle, which is the 3, 4, 5. And generally people don't eat till they're at a 6 or 7 and they're really, really hungry. But what makes our body the happiest is to start feeding it at about those 3 and 4 and giving it the nutrients that it needs at that point. So paying attention to what are the cues of hunger? How do you know if you're hungry, or how do you know if you're thirsty? So there's this quote, and it's by, I studied a lot of mindful eating. I studied a lot about mindfulness, and there's a quote that says from Margaret Fletcher, and she's at the Center for Mindful Eating, and it says either we're physically hungry or there's another trigger to our hunger. So either it's actually cellular physical hunger, or there's something else that's triggering our hunger. What kinds of things trigger you guys to eat? What kinds of things make you want to grab that ice cream or that candy bar or that food? So I know a lot of my clients have told me that if after they have a busy day, they come home and it's almost like the food that they make or that they buy at the store is like a way to unwind, and it's comforting to them. The food can be comforting and kind of help them after a long, busy day. And Carrie said stress or boredom. Yeah, those are oftentimes reasons that we eat, is we're stressed or we're bored. I had a kind of funny situation because I was putting together a PowerPoint presentation on mindful eating, and I'd had a really, really busy and packed week. And I noticed I had this bag of chips and I was kind of eating them as I was putting my presentation together. And I just noticed, oh, when I am stressed, I want something salty, something that I can just kind of put in my body really fast and kind of give me that sense of well-being or that pleasure for that moment. I mean, and after you eat the whole bag of chips, then you start feeling not so good, right? And you're tuning into, oh, this is a not good feeling, right? So recognizing the reasons we're eating, I mean, we're just paying attention to it. We're not judging it as good or bad. We're just saying, I noticed that when I'm super stressed, I tend to find food and use food to comfort myself. And what I have a lot of my clients do is I have them come up with an emotional care kit, because I recognize that food is a go-to. Food is social, food is cultural, food is a big part of what we do. And you know what? It's okay to eat and have emotion about it, right? So when we're with friends, we're having fun and there's emotion and we're eating. And the only time that it becomes hard for us is if we're eating and there's some underlying thing like stress, anxiety, depression, that we could actually use something else to cope with that would be better for the long term. So when we look at that, we think of what else could you use in replacement for food that would help when you're stressed, or that would help when you're feeling sad or lonely or you want to have some comfort. What kinds of things could you guys use? I call it the emotional care kit for my clients. It's just kind of, they have it in their head or they could write it down, the things that they use. I know for me, exercise is a great way to that feeds me emotionally and helps me when I have anxiety or when I'm feeling stressed. What things do you guys use to help when you're having maybe an emotional hunger where you need comfort, or you need to be able to feel calm, or you're struggling with stress or anxiety? What kinds of things help you guys to feel that calm feeling? Anybody want to share something that you use to kind of help you when you're struggling with something emotional? Go ahead and put it in the comment box, or give me some likes or hearts if you want. So I want you to really be kind to yourself. I believe a lot in self-compassion, and that we can treat ourselves as we would our best friend. If our best friend said, I just ate a whole tray of brownies, we wouldn't be like, you're bad, horrible, I can't believe you ruined your diet, blah, 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 all the negative things that we say to ourselves. Okay, Zachary said, lying down, taking a break, meditating. I like it. Meditation definitely helps, and we're going to go into a whole thing about meditation and how it helps with stress tomorrow. So we're going to go over that tomorrow. Carrie said that she likes to make something, quilting, crafts, something that keeps her hands busy. I like that, because as your hands are busy, you're getting involved, and it's emotionally probably satisfying because you're creating, which we are creators, right? And then it's also distracting from wanting to stick something in your mouth, right? So I like that. I think that's great. Anybody else have anything that they use to help emotionally? I put a little sticky note on my mirror in my bathroom that just says, these are things that I know help me feel a boost in my happiness, right? So journaling, going on a walk, dancing, listening to some fun music, upbeat music. You know, so when I have a craving or something that I feel like, oh, I really need some food, I have this that I can go to. Oh, I could go on a walk. I could have a bubble bath. I could do something different. So I want you to think about creating your own emotional care kit, because food and emotions are so connected, and it's not a bad thing. We want to enjoy our food. We want to have pleasure with our food, but we also want to recognize that we can do other things too. That will feed our emotional well-being, right? And give us the care and the love that we need. Just like we rock a baby or we sing to it, there's a lot of things we do. We don't just always feed a baby, right? So anybody else have anything else? Hi, Kim, that you want to share that is something that you use to help yourself emotionally when you're struggling with some anxiety or stress or things like that? Anybody else want to share something? Okay, we're going to go on. So we kind of talked about mindful versus mindless, and the thing that I'm concerned about with teaching this is that I don't want people to start having rules, because a lot of times the struggle that we have with food is because we have rules. I can't eat this, I can't eat that, I can only eat it this time, I can't eat it this time. And the thing that is hard about that is it puts us into kind of a box, and we don't feel like we're free to live our lives. Have any of you ever felt that way before? I know I have. So with the mindful eating, I don't want you to feel like I have to do A, B, C. Really think about it as in this way. I want to actually totally and completely enjoy the experience of eating, right? So being present with your food and recognizing that even sitting down at the table is a way to eat that's mindful, right? Just sitting down and enjoying your food that way. So we talked about the difference between mindless versus mindful, and the only reason I talk about that is just so you can be aware of times when your brain is not connected to the experience of eating. You're kind of in a different area, right? We live in a very distracted world with our cell phones and everything. So it's just being aware, I just noticed, and I have this where I'm like, oh, I just noticed that I had a really busy day today and I ate in my car. And it's not a judgment thing, it's just, okay, I was really, really busy, and maybe next time I can kind of prepare food beforehand. So you're really sensing into being aware of what you're doing and how you feel when you do what you did, right? So you're really just trying to connect to that. So the cool thing about mindful eating is it's joyful eating, right? Have any of you ever felt like you could actually have joy in eating? I know for a lot of my clients, there's so much guilt and shame around food that it's really hard for them to think of food being joyful. But food can be joyful. And the thing about mindful eating is that you can experience the food in all parts of you, your body, your heart, your mind. You know how a lot of cultures, they have like certain special foods that they do, and it's part of a celebration. And that's a big part of what this is about, is like having the experience of eating. It involves choosing and preparing your food. So even going to the grocery store and picking out that perfect apple that you're going to put in this apple crunch thing, or looking at the different colors of food that you're going to put in this salad, the green and the red and everything. It's acknowledging your food preferences non-judgmentally. So I tell my clients, I have some clients that they don't, there's certain things that they like and certain things they don't like, and I don't tell people that they have to eat these certain things, but I do have them say, what are your preferences of food? So if these are the fruits and vegetables that are out there, there's carrots and onions and squash and da-da-da-da, what do you like? What do you prefer of those? Because we all have preferences. I'm not a big eggplant person, but some people are. So if you like eggplant, put that on your preferences. So I have my clients look at of the fruits and vegetables that are out there, because we want to eat alive foods so that we can feel energy, because they have energy in them, those living foods. What foods do you enjoy? So you guys in the comments, just tell me some of the foods that you know are a preference for you that you really like. It could be a dish that you like to make that you really think is really fun to make, or it could be just some fruits and vegetables that you enjoy. What do you guys like? Just make a little comment and tell me what foods do you really enjoy eating. I'll tell you one of mine is I've been trying to learn how to make hummus, and I love hummus, and I love dipping like anything in hummus. So it could be bread, it could be carrots, it could be vegetables, but I love that. So what kinds of things do you guys like? I don't know if it's I like the crunchiness, and then the hummus kind of gives it extra flavor. But I really like that. I also really like to spend time eating, spend a lot of time sitting down and eating and preparing the food. Like, when you make like a big casserole or a chicken dish and you can smell it in your house, I love that feeling. Have any of you guys experienced that? I love that, smelling it, and just, it's like, it's a homey feeling, right? That comfortable homey feeling. Same thing with like homemade rolls, smelling those. So someone said they like quinoa. I like fruit salads. Carrie said I like fruit salads and filling for stuffed peppers. Ooh, yeah, the filling that you put in for the stuffed peppers, that's yummy. I struggle with fruits and vegetables, but I like anything that I shouldn't like. So tell me a little bit about what kinds of things you like. So all foods have things that they give to us, right? And there's foods that give us more and foods that give us less, right? So tell me some of the foods that you like, Kim. Another thing I'll go on here with the joy of mindful eating is we're just being curious about our food and playful with our food. Like, oh, I like these apples. I like to combine different things together. You're using your intuition for your need for nutrition. So I kind of talked about with myself how if I need like protein or carbs, I can tell if I need something like that just by like feeling an energy slump. I'm like, okay, maybe I don't have enough protein in my diet, or I didn't eat something with protein in it today. Or fruits and vegetables. When I have fruits and vegetables, I tend to feel more energy than when I don't. Let's see, Kim says breads and pastas. Okay, yeah. And breads and pastas are like comfort foods, right? And they can be enjoyed. The challenge is the 80-20 thing. So 80% of our food being alive and 20% being food that's not alive. So breads and pastas are delicious, and it's paying attention to how you feel. If you have a piece of bread with your meal, you're probably going to feel great. If you have 2 or 3, you might not feel so great. So really paying attention to what you feel. And you're paying attention to your inner cues. So your inner cues are saying, I feel satisfied, right? And after a good meal, that feeling of being satisfied feels so great, right? Like, I'm full. But at Thanksgiving dinner, sometimes we push it past the point of feeling satisfied, right? And so you're paying attention to feeding your body consistently, so that it has the fuel it needs. It's kind of like your car. You don't want to try to get gas when you're almost out. You want to try to keep it going. So mindful eating is dictated by your inner experience of health. So what do you guys feel like when you feel healthy? What are some of the things that you feel when you feel healthy? I know for me, I feel more energy. I feel more stamina, like I can keep going. I don't have any pain. What else do you guys feel when you feel healthy? Anything else? You could put a little comment in or give me some likes or hearts. This is the last thing I want to point out about the joy of mindful eating, is that instead of guilt and shame about food, it's respect for your inner wisdom. That's the whole thing about mindfulness, is it's tuning into your inner wisdom. Because you really need to learn to trust yourself, to trust that you know what is good for you and what foods are going to make you feel great. Carrie said being more positive. Caitlin, hi Caitlin, she said alert and full of energy is what she feels like when she's listening to her body and eating the foods that make her feel healthy. So there's a little wheel of mindful eating that we're going to talk about for a second, and then I'm going to leave it open for questions. We're going to go through the different types of hunger that we might be experiencing. So when you're looking at this wheel, it's why do I eat? When do I eat? What do I eat? How do I eat? Like, am I sitting down and eating, or am I eating in a car? How much do I eat, and where does my energy go? So we're really eating for energy, right? We're eating to feel alive, to take care of our bodies. And what we eat makes a difference. It makes a difference in how we feel, how we look. As we drink more and eat better, it's better for our skin, it's better for our health overall. So we're going to talk about the different types of hunger. So there's 7 different types of hunger, and we're just going to really quick go over those. The first one is eye hunger. So have you ever gone to a restaurant or something and you see something, you're like, that looks so good. You see something on someone else's plate and you're like, that looks delicious. I want to try that because it's like really colorful and it looks really savory or whatever. You're seeing it, right? So, and food is art, right? It's beautiful. So we're stimulated by sight, that it's beautiful. It's a beautifully presented meal. That's why, people that go to culinary school, they learn how to present meals. To satisfy our eye hunger, we can really feast our eyes on the food before we put it in our mouths. So when you make your meal, just kind of looking at it for a while and really appreciating it and all the colors and the textures you can see in that. The second, so eye hunger is first. The second is nose hunger. Most of our taste is actually our smell. It's connected there, right? And it's more subtle than that of our taste, the smell is. But anyone that's had a cold can tell you that when you're stuffed up, you can't experience things as much. So to satisfy your nose hunger, practice smelling your food, right? Really, so you set it there, you really notice what colors and textures, and then you're smelling it and enjoying it, and pausing before you take a bite. Then mouth hunger, you guys have all probably experienced that, where maybe you like salty food or you like really savory food and you're salivating and things like that. So in our culture, we like to have an experience with food, really being able to taste the food. And we have been social conditioned to like certain types of food, right? The breads and the different things like that, and then, and when you see restaurants and what they make, a lot of it is that comfort food, warm foods, that kind of a thing. But you can try and be curious and try different types of food and see what it's like for you, what it's like for your mouth, different flavors and textures. It's Corinne, not Caitlin. Hi. And then there's stomach hunger. So that's where you could feel the growling, in your stomach. And then there's actual cellular hunger. So how do you guys know what kind of hunger you're experiencing? How do you think you could tell? What would you be able to tell if you knew what kind of hunger you were having? How do you know if it's a cellular hunger? I think for me, it's again that feeling of loss of energy and fatigue and things. So we're going to talk about the stomach hunger, which is one of the main ways that we recognize hunger, right? It doesn't always mean that our body needs food when we have that rumbling tummy. We kind of learn those things. So we can confuse that sensation with other feelings. So sometimes you have a feeling in your stomach when you're feeling anxious or stressed or something like that, and it may not be hunger. So when your cells need nutrients, so for the cellular hunger, we might be irritable or tired and we might have a headache. Has anybody experienced that? I know for me, I get really tired or I get really just fatigued, that kind of a thing. It's possible for us to lose the ability to tune into our body. So we want to really hone in on what kind of hunger am I having and how can I fulfill this hunger. And through mindfulness, it's possible to become more aware of your body's cravings and what kind of hunger your body's experiencing. There's also mind hunger, which is the next one, the 6th one. it's kind of, mind hunger is like fad diets. You know, there's a lot of diets out there, right? And in our mind we think, oh, well, they were saying that that works. You know, if I don't eat gluten, then I'll have more energy. Or if I, and some people need to do that because of, you know, physical health problems. But sometimes there's a mind hunger where we're like, oh, that sounds interesting, I'm going to try that diet or whatever. And then there's heart hunger, and this is again with our emotional part. We might crave comfort food that we might have been given as a child. And I think emotional eating often just boils down to our desire to be loved and comforted and looked after. It's kind of filling a hole in our lives. So to fill our heart hunger, we need to find ways to have intimacy with friends and family, and for that to be satisfied in other ways. Just noticing your emotions, and if you have an urge for a snack, just noticing that, and then finding other ways, like we said, you could call a friend or have a bubble bath. What are some other things that you guys do when you have that hunger? Is there anything else that you guys do when you have those kinds of feelings of I feel lonely or I need comfort? What are some other things you guys do? Carrie said she gets bad headaches when she doesn't have enough to drink. That is so common. We are dehydrated a ton, and so I try to, even if before I eat, drink some, so I make, you know, just to sense into, is it that I'm really thirsty or am I hungry, right? Kind of a thing. So Zachary says play the piano. That helps. That's something he does when he needs that comfort, love. I love music. Music is very feeling in our senses and our emotions, so I think music's a great one. Anything else? So those are kind of the 7 different types of hunger, and really the reason to go through that is for you guys to recognize this isn't a judgment thing. This is just, hey, what am I noticing about my experience? What am I noticing? Is this a cellular hunger? Is this something where I maybe need some water? Is this something where I could go play my piano or listen to some music or have a bubble bath and I would feel better, go for a walk, pet my dog? You know, what other things could I do? It's kind of getting us to pause in that moment and make different choices. So those are the 7 different types of hunger that are associated with mindful eating. So I want you guys to in a way just be able to be kind to yourself and say, I'm not going to judge food as good or bad. I'm not going to say a brownie's bad and a carrot is good. I'm just going to sense into, how do I feel when I eat a carrot versus how do I feel when I eat the brownie, right? What does it do for me? For the brownie, I feel pleasure. I feel it feels great. It's delicious. The carrot, do I feel more energy? A lot of green foods give us more energy. So if you're looking at like spinach and broccoli and celery and cucumbers and things like that, those are the foods that are going to give you more energy. So if you're having a lack of energy, looking at that. Okay, Cheryl said yoga. Yeah, yoga. You guys know I do a yoga event. I'm doing one in August. I do one every couple months, and yoga is the mind-body connection again. So you can sense into, I'm not feeling comforted or I'm not feeling loved, and yoga can fulfill that for you, and it can help you feel grounded and peaceful and calm. It's like the antidepressant, anti-stress that you can use. And I'm not going to tell you guys what things to use, but just come up with some things on your own that you know give you some emotional benefit, right? It's your emotional toolkit kind of a thing. So the last thing we're going to do is I'm going to give you guys just a little few tips for mindful eating. And then if you have any questions, we have like a couple minutes. So and the book that I read about mindful eating, it's by a doctor. Her name is Jan Chozen-Bays, B-A-Y-S. And that's where I based a lot of this information on mindful eating from. So some tips on mindful eating is really paying attention to what your triggers are to mindlessly eat or to emotionally eat. And then sitting down, that's the biggest one. So I'm going to give you guys a challenge to try this week while we're having this workshop, to try a couple of these things. So even if it's, I'm going to, at least for breakfast or lunch or dinner, sit down and really experience my food, okay? So that's the first tip, is sit down to experience your food. And then if you're in a place where there's a ton of different types of foods, I want you to try to pick out 3 that are your favorite and say out loud, I love bread, I love carrots, and I love the tacos, or whatever it is, and say out loud those 3 things. Because then you're going to tell yourself those 3 things and kind of not limit a little bit more of what you're eating. And then the third thing is, sometimes when we go to a social event, we don't need to necessarily always eat. We could bring games with us, we could bring pictures, we could do different things in our social events. And then finding ways to soothe and comfort yourself. That's what we talked about with the emotional toolkit. So taking a 5-minute breather, going on a walk, drinking some warm tea, or playing some music, those can help. And then noticing what your triggers are. That's the next thing, is what are some of the most common mindless triggers for you? Is it when you're right after work? Is it when the kids get up in the morning? Is it when you have some downtime? So make a list of some of those things that might be triggers for you, and then you can recognize when that time is coming up that you know is a trigger time. And then you can pick a food and you can allow yourself to eat it. Like if you love a chocolate bar or whatever, allowing yourself to eat that and recognizing what you're doing. So you're being really mindful because you're knowing what you're doing when you're doing it. Does that make sense? And then eating regularly is really important. So they actually say we should eat every 2 hours, and I know that's really hard for a lot of people, but even if you can have some nuts, cheese, or crackers, or vegetables in a bag that you can eat throughout the day, it's going to help with that feeling of cravings and things like that. So, and then you can always take home leftovers if you go somewhere, and just recognizing this food can be joyful and I don't need to feel guilt about it. I can feel like this food gave me the inner energy that I need, and that I can enjoy sitting down and having dessert with my family. So those are some tips for just being really aware and of mindful eating. Kind of, I've also had some of my clients, they set their fork down so that they're kind of really recognizing things. So anything else that you guys do to help you to really enjoy the experience of eating? Just slowing down is a good one. Giving gratitude for your food. I had a client that we talked about really recognizing, where did this food come from? So say it's a carrot. How did you get that carrot? Well, there was a farmer that farmed it, and just where did it come from? How did it get to me, to my table today? It was in the grocery store, and then I went and picked it up. That whole experience of gratitude. Aren't we lucky that we live in a country that we can just go to the grocery store and pick up whatever we need and whatever we want? Another thing is chewing slowly, and maybe taking 30 chews rather than chewing quickly. I know chewing it until your food is more broken down, so that it's easier to digest for your body. That's going to make you feel healthier. You don't have to clean your plate. Some people are raised with, you gotta eat everything on your plate, but that's not true. You can leave some things and throw some things away. And then it's okay to try your favorite foods and make sure you eat your favorite foods. Is there anything else that you guys think of? Okay, Caitlin, which is actually Corinne, I think, said, put your phones and electronics away. Make it a family time meal. Yeah, that's huge. Sitting down together and enjoying a meal, it's not very common anymore, but I think you'll find that you enjoy the food more, that you feel better, and that you connect to your family. So those are all really important things. So anybody else have anything that they want to share about either struggles that you've had with food, or ways that you have found that really are helpful to you to be present with your food and enjoy eating? All right, so give me some likes if you're still there, and hearts. We're at the end of our workshop today on mindful eating, but I want you guys to really think about the experience of tuning into your body. So the next time you sit down to a meal, first of all, sit down, and then secondly, I want you to really just pay attention to, what does it smell like? What does it taste like? What are the textures like? And what do I enjoy about this food? And really sensing into that and recognizing how much you love food. and making time to prepare your food and sit down and eat it as a family. So I want you to just try one of those things this week, whether it's sitting down or preparing a meal, but I want you to eat one meal mindfully where you're really sensing into smelling it, tasting it, and enjoying it. So I hope you all have a great week. Emily said make time for food. Yeah, that's important. Put your electronics away. And just have a great time with food and enjoy eating. Have a great week, you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. And I'll also send you a little update with some of these tips to help you with mindful eating. So have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, take care.